So I just listened to your latest album. It is quite the listen. Some of the songs are quite long, but they're so captivating that you don't mind the length of the song. How did the writing process for this album begin?
Well, we actually don't write any music. We actually just improvise everything. So it all started, this album was born when I invited the guys down to my studio here in Portugal. So they flew down from Sweden and Denmark and Norway in September 2023.
Oh,
And we basically just discussed some ideas and maybe some keys and we just go in the studio and we just play.
wow, this band from researching you guys seems like it's very organic, it's very fluid. What do you think attracts so many artists to be wanting to be a part of and create music with this band?
I think it's we have a legacy now of almost 20 years, and we have this Orgone Unicorn is our 44th album. So it's 32 studio albums. So, but getting back to the main question, I think it's because it's a group of really good musicians, like really skilled musicians who are all trying to push the boundaries of what we can do within music as six, four, five, six, seven musicians in a room.
Mhm.
And everybody is like I think one of the best features of the musicians that play in Öresund is they're so good at listening to each other and being able to find your space in this big sound and when somebody has an idea or a groove, everybody is so good at like locking into it. So, some of these tracks, they don't sound like they're completely jams, but they actually are all totally jams.
Wow. So in recording this album, did was each instrument recorded separate, or did you guys all just get in a room and play together?
Nope, we all get in a room to play together, but of course the tracks are all separate. There are four microphones on the drums and two for the bass, a direct one and a microphone, and then all the synthesizers and then violin and guitars and what other instruments. I mean, I think we had congas also, and we had Fender Rhodes piano and we had sitar. Sitar. He was the only one who wasn't in the room with us.
Okay.
So KG, the guy who played the sitar, he sat in the other room in the other room of the studio besides the mixing room, and he sat there with headphones so he could hear us all, but he couldn't see us. Where all the rest of us were all in the same room.
Wow. It all sounds so beautiful when it's all put together, but how difficult is it to get so many artists in tune and in sync in order to record this all together?
Well, I mean, in this constellation we had this last time, Mattias Olsson, the frog drummer, he was like the new guy. He's only played with us in the studio in 2022 and 2023. But KG, who was played with us, he's been playing with us since the late 2000s. And Hasse Horrigmoe, he's the bass player and multi-instrumentalist. He's been playing with us for 10 years now. And Jonathan's been playing with us for more than about 10 years as well. And there's Larry, who's a local musician here. He helped me to engineer the session, which was very, very helpful because in 2022 I was trying to do all the recording and playing and engineering at the same time, and it was very helpful. But Larry's a great musician. He also played with us on some jams, so he played Fender Rhodes and some synthesizers, and but so it was mostly people that had played. We've all played together quite a bit, so but it's we discussed that we don't want to keep doing what we've done before. We want to try to move forward.
Definitely.
So we're always trying new
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah. The sound for this band is quite unique. The jazz influence is there. It's very well in the background, and you could tell that's the influence for the music. But it's quite unique. The sound is unlike anything I hear in the mainstream. So, how do you guys create that? How do you bring, like you said, an evolution to the stuff you've already made in the past?
Yeah, I mean, Well, one thing we try to, at least in the last few sessions, is Hasse has been making us play in odd keys and odd timings. So this forces you into outside your comfort zone when you're playing sometimes when they're playing these Phrygian F sharp is the major key, and then wow, okay, how do I improvise around that? So it that's one thing that's making it a bit different. And then also we try to get into a flow. So we don't try to limit ourselves and say, okay, let's try to make it 10 minutes. We just let it go and see how long the piece of music goes for. And I think that also frees people up a bit, knowing that there's not going to be like a soon ending, and you just go and see what and it just seems to flow in different parts. And I mean, had a really good chemistry, and I'm working on mixing more stuff from this 2023 studio session too, because this is the first, well, this one and Espaso are the first releases from this session, and we recorded 18 hours of music. So
Wow. One of the most captivating things for me is the fact that this sound flows so well. You're sitting there for tw 20 minutes listening to one track that's just fabulous. Um, but like I was saying before, the jazz influence is there, but you guys include so many more aspects to the music, synthesizer and all that that jazz doesn't usually have. Why did you guys choose to go that path?
well, I think early on the band was more like a very like Hawkwind inspired. So it was more like a real space rock band. And the last maybe 8 years ago, so we've been moving into being more proggy and more jazzy. And I think, I play all the all the spacey synthesizers, and I think that adds something totally different to what maybe other people are doing too. And a lot of it is also to just try something different and try some weird sounds that might not seem to fit, but in and then mix them in a ways that they do fill in the picture in a good way.
Mhm. Definitely. And like you were saying, you guys have 20 plus years, 44 albums now. That is quite the workload. Uh, what keeps you guys motivated to keep on going?
I think the fans, the fans are we have really dedicated fans that buy most or all of our stuff, and we also have 60 66 Bandcamp subscribers who pay money every single month,
Wow.
between like €6 and €10, and then we have one super fan who pays us €100 every month. And uh and these people, they get I try to give them something new every single month. It might only be like a live concert, like we had a soundboard or a multi-track of, so the other fans don't get to hear that, or it might be a studio outtake, or it might be an early mix of something that's going to be on a future album. But we have these dedicated fans, and yeah, so I think anything we put out, we pretty much can sell at least a few hundred copies of physical copies.
Wow. And with so much music you guys are putting out, this must be a lot of time you guys are taking to create music. While you guys have other projects going on, how fun is it to get together and just, play music like this that does sound like you have a lot of freedom to just do whatever it is you feel like putting out there.
Yeah, well, I think the musicians who come down here and become part of the collective, it frees them up from what they're doing with their normal bands. So this, I think, then they're free to do something totally different, because most of the people are busy with their other music projects as well, and are just part of the collective. And since I moved from Copenhagen 7 years ago, I'm more separated from the rest of the guys now, because we were based in Copenhagen and Malmo in Sweden, and then there was a group of musicians from Stockholm that have been very active in the collective as well. And now there's quite more distance. So since I moved here, we play a lot fewer concerts, for instance.
Mhm.
And but we try to have a studio session pretty much every year, and my I built a professional studio where that's where I'm sitting now down here in Portugal, and it opened in June of 2022, and so we had a jam session in 2022, and that was kind of crazy because I invited a lot of the guys down, and that was 10 days of recording, and we recorded 35 pieces of music and like 20 hours of music, something like that. So it was quite a lot of stuff came out from that session. Then we had this session last year, so we have no shortage of good material. But
Wow.
we spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time mixing it. Jonathan Segel up in Stockholm and myself, we put in many hours to mix it because the sound is what is super important to us. It has to sound great. And we're not satisfied until we really make it sound amazing, you know. And one of the members, Hasse, he's let's call him a ultra perfectionist when it comes to sound, and he has like a $100,000 stereo, so he has like a super high end stereo where he can hear like details that you just can't hear on normal stereos, and he won't let us get away with anything.
Wow. And even though these tracks have no vocals, they're so stunning and so captivating. Was it always a choice for you guys not to have a vocalist and not to have lyrics to these songs?
Well, I think it's just easier, and I think if we did have a singer, you'd have to have somebody who was really clever
Hmm.
because it's all improvised music. I mean, we did collaborate with the most famous freeform singer Damo Suzuki from Cannes. We did perform with him one time, and that was quite a magical thing. But he's one of the few people who gets out there and just plays with loads. Used to play. He died last year, but or maybe it was this year. But he played with hundreds of different bands, just doing free form vocals with lots of bands. But so we had him perform with us once, and then we had a woman from a Swedish band called Drak von Tripp, and she also at one concert did some kind of like freeform vocal stuff, but she also played violin and flute, and that worked out okay. But I think having a vocalist would be kind of tricky. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, maybe full time it would be a bit weird, but having a guest vocalist, I could see it working if it was a really clever person who made up his own poetry and
Wow. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to hear your sound with lyrics to it. But congratulations on this album. It is fantastic, phenomenal music, great quality, and you could just sit and listen to this for hours on end. So congratulations.
oh, thank you. Did you like the artwork too?
Yes, I did. Is the artwork yeah. Does the band do the artwork or is the artwork done by somebody else separately?
The artwork is done by a collaborator of ours named David Graham over in the UK. God, he must have made art for like 15 or 20 of our records now. He's super clever. He's and the artwork for that one is, which is just completely different than the beautiful one that he had made just before.
That's beautiful. Like, wow.
Yeah, really, really nice layouts. And so yeah, he does fantastic artwork. So we work with David most of the time these days.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, once again, congratulations on the album and thank you very much for your time.